All right, let's get this going. The show's about ready to start. And oh, okay, my talk show's about ready to start. I just wanted to see if what's going on here. So, those of you, I am going to. Management agency. How you doing, Sal?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, good, good.
Awesome. I got Bobby.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
I'm doing good, doing good. Who am I speaking with?
This is Dr. Paul.
Awesome. I got Bobby.
Dr. Paul, my man. How you doing, sir?
We're doing good. We're doing good. So, hey, Sal, I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks, so this is pretty good.
Dr. Paul, my man. How you doing, sir?
We're doing good.
You have a question?
No, how you been?
Oh, I'm good. How about you?
Well, it's been busy, and Happy
Yeah.
New Year.
Happy New Year. 2019.
That's right.
That's it. Are we going on? Will we be on live at 8? We on live now. What's the kind of format so I have an idea of what's
Give me
going on?
1 second.
We're not live yet, Bobby. We go online at 8.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Say that again. I had to switch.
We go live at 8 o'clock on the dot.
And basically, all you need to know, I'm going to be saying 30 seconds before every break when we're about to cut to the break. So that's like wrap up your final thought so Dr. Paul can take us to a commercial.
Perfect. And how long are we going to be on our interview?
I'm gonna allow you to do pretty much about 30 minutes, Bobby.
Perfect.
And
Perfect.
each break is
Sounds
2
good.
minutes
Thank
so
you.
you guys can discuss like where to go next, what topics.
Perfect. I'm going to just follow your lead, Doc.
All right. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about the events coming up down in Orlando.
Audio and video
Perfect.
Our passionate team creates content and marketing for the world of internet talk radio. If you've got a passion, come join us at bbmglobalnetwork.com. The BBM Global Network. Your voice is now heard.
Welcome to Bridges with your host, Dr. Paul. From the studies of traditional and alternative methods in martial arts.
All right. We got 30 seconds.
All right, thanks, Al.
No problem.
Dr. Paul is here to help promote clarity and understanding and to help facilitate making informed decisions. You learn to trust yourself, opening you up to a new world of connection
And 10 seconds.
care. So please welcome the host of Bridges.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are live.
Hey, welcome to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and happy New Year. You know, we had taken a little bit of a hiatus of a break here, and that's okay, because now that we're back, we're here doing what we got to do and bridge that gap, and that's why the show's called Bridges, and we're here every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you can always call in at 877-475-8570. So we're here to connect with you so we can take our education to our understanding. And then once we get into our understanding, then we can apply our knowledge. You know, I have a beautiful guest on. I always have beautiful guests on. And you know that I like to associate a bridge with what we're doing. And today is the Jackson Street Bridge. And the person that should know about that bridge, because it's back in his hometown in Atlanta. So, and also I like to do a human rights. And the human rights is one thing about the human rights is this charter, the United Charter, is for us to know that we have the responsibility, it's charter number 29, we have the responsibility to act on everyone's human rights, to protect them, to engage, to make sure that people are living happily and right. Bobby, welcome to Bridges. And I know you're on the line already, so I'm just going to bring you right in. Mr. Bobby Morgan. Bobby?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
How you doing, Bobby? First,
First of all, man, doing well.
good. You know, I don't like introducing people because people have just a amazing life, but I'm so happy Bobby Morgan actually came on with us. So, Bobby, tell us what you do, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, first of all, Dr. Hartman, I'd like to tell you thank you for taking the time and giving me the opportunity to be on your platform. I'm gratefully appreciative of that. Just to kind of like, let a little bit about myself, man. I'm the founder as well as the president of the Elite Talent Sports Management Agency. One of the things that we do is to make sure that the young men and women are athletes. I kind of believe even in bringing back the student athlete. You know, I came up, I was a quarterback basketball, started in baseball, and I was fortunate enough to have good coaches. And one of the things that my mother always preached to me was your grades was important. You know, she emphasis on sports was just an extracurricular activity, you know. And it didn't matter that I was the starting quarterback. If my grades wasn't right, Mom would pull me off the team. So, that's something that we've kind of got away from. But to kind of like answer your question, Doc, Elite Talent Sports Management Agency, we represent quite a few guys, the NFL, baseball, NCAA, NBA. We're one of the first African-American sports agencies to have our number one driver in the European polls, Milos Pavlovic. We also represent him. He's currently driving for a Lamborghini. But our goal, man, is to make sure that the students and everything are, to make sure that not just that they're clearinghouse eligible, but we also start ACT, SAT preparation as early as the 8th and 9th grade. So we have quite a few different programs, man, that,
I have children that are athletes. I have a son that's an amazing basketball player. He got hurt in his senior year and he tore his ACL. But be that as it may, is that all my kids, our kids drive us, but we have to drive ourselves. Otherwise, where do they get the responsibility to do what they're going to do? And I believe in that student athlete, because that student athlete has to be a student first and an athlete second. That is the most important thing, and it's so tough for a lot of kids, and the inner city kids around the world, to understand that we
That's
have to
right.
be educated first before we can do anything.
That's right. Man,
Now,
I'm so glad that you touched on that, Doc.
Now, one of the things that we're going to touch on, and it's amazing with your elite marketing and in NFL and the sports, and we're going to be down there at Pro Bowl week, at the Hall of Fame week together. But this weekend, my grandson got sick and went into the hospital for an emergency surgery. And I was thinking about, because we had talked that we were going to be on the air, and and what drives us to be the best that we can possibly be so we can influence the life that we want to live, right? Now, I know
Right.
I have lost friends, families, and loved ones, but you started out with, you also lost a close family member, and that's what's driving you to do what you start to do. And I really want to touch on on that part of the life, because that's so important, because people can do many things, but
You're right.
what's really important. So I want you to talk about that, Mr. Biden.
Yeah, that's our nonprofit organization. I started that. It's Fathers and a Friend Forever Foundation. And this foundation, first of all, Doc, I want to tell you thank you, man, for even acknowledging that fact and giving me the opportunity to speak on this platform. But the Fathers and a Friend Forever Foundation was started. My son, Brian, was murdered in Chicago. My son, he was shot 5 times in the head in the Chicago area. Brian was 23 years old. He was 2 classes away from his master's degree. You know, we always talked about education. You know, I have 3 degrees. So I had told Brian, you know, son, you have to have 4 degrees. He said, your son has to have 5 degrees. That way I know once I left the church that I left a very well-educated man. You know, I graduated at the top of my class. I'm very, very well educated. But Brian was 2 classes. He was 8 hours away from his master's degree. He was home from college shopping for my grandson, and some guys, man, ran up at a stoplight, shot him 5 times in the head, rocked him. So the whole movement, man, was to, you know, me and Brian was talking about a lot of his friends, man, that were going to prison, and this is very influential within the inner city, you know, that they choose. And I had to explain to my son, you know, it's okay to be friends with those guys, but you have to understand and know how to separate yourself. As an example, you know, some of his friends, I had to let him know that, you know, these guys are, you know, your friends, but they had the opportunity to make the same decisions that you made. You know, not that you look at yourself as being any better than them, but you are. You know, but you don't want to make them feel less than you are.
Right.
But, you know, they made a decision to sell drugs or, you know, rob or sell, whatever the case was, where your decision was to go to school. So with the Fathers and a Friend Foundation, now what we do is it's $25 for a father and a friend. It's also a mother and a daughter. It could be an uncle and a nephew. It's just a Father and a Friend Foundation where we get guys. I'm going to have several guys in the NFL, NBA, different genres, professionals, where we're able to give second chances to some of these young men. You know, some of these guys that just need a second chance, man. You know, we know that some of these guys are felons or whatnot, so we're able to provide. You know, some of these guys own restaurants, hotel, construction companies. So we team with these different organizations of these mentors from the NFL, NBA, or whatnot, and we offer opportunities for these guys to have a second chance, man. And one of the things that we do with the monies that's raised, it's very influential, and this has probably been the greatest attribute to the Fathers and the Friend Foundation is with the monies, man, what we do is we provide lawyers instead of these guys getting public defenders, you know, where it's a case where this kid may have had the opportunity to use his First Time Offenders Act, but in retrospect, you know, they're giving this kid time in prison and jail and probation, where, you know, a lawyer would have helped that. So that's one of the things that we try to do that kind of explain things.
We're going to talk about this more again, Bob. We're going to take a quick break here. Just want to let you know you're listening to Bridges with Dr. Paul, and I'm talking to Mr. Bobby Morgan, and we're talking about how to change people's lives. And we're right back. Listen to the BBM Global Network, and we're right back after this break.
Essential
All
Nutrition
right, we are clear.
is the brainchild of entrepreneur Barbara Byrne, inspired by a desire to help others.
Hello?
Yeah, we're taking a break here, Bobby. So, so after we come back off this break,
Okay.
and then I'm going to.
Yeah, man, I wasn't. I'm glad you brought that up. It kind of hit me off guard, but I'm glad that you brought it up, man, because that's very important, especially that student athlete part of it. I really want to kind of elaborate on that, because a lot of these kids, man, really just don't understand the importance, and it starts with the parents too. They're just not educated. You just can't be a good football player or a good basketball player. That stuff.
You know,
You have to be a student athlete.
a lot of the times, Bobby, as you know, and I know, and I've talked to friends, and even in North Dakota who do a lot of coaching, and even my own son who's doing coaching now. We have to teach so many parents how to navigate, even in the college setting, because they don't know. They're like, oh, great, my kid gets into college and it's great, and I think that's beautiful. But to be a student athlete, he's got to work 3 times as hard because he still has to get his he's got to get his courses in on time. He's got to get his grades in on time. Yeah,
He's
so
traveling.
yeah.
When the other kids are in school, at Christmas tournament, you're out of school. And not even that, man. You being one of those athletes, man, you have some professors, man, that just don't like student athletes. They feel as though that we get it easy, that we get the easy way out because we have certain administrators and things that's backing us. So you're exactly right, but
I think so.
they have to dig into that, man. You have to be self-sufficient, and self-reliable. That's where that student athlete come in. That they gotta want it.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and you're listening to the BBM Global Network. You can also catch the podcast if you know anyone who wants to re-listen to the show every Thursday. It comes about Thursday, and you can also listen to it on iHearts and iTunes Radio. So we're talking to Mr. Bobby Morgan. Bobby Morgan started a project because of his son got killed in Chicago. Not just because his son got killed, but it triggered something in him. And that is what we're talking about. A lot of things can trigger your beginning. And if we can help influence our communities and people with what we are, with our passion, and that's ultimately like we're trying to do here, even on Bridges, is to give you that information, take that information into your knowledge, and so you can truly understand what this is all about. So keep going, Bobby. Now you're talking about your friends and family and with your foundation. Now you have a lot of athletes that you got involved in your foundation too.
Yes, sir. That's correct, man. I have one of my great clients is two-time Super Bowl champion Anthony Smith. I represent Anthony. He's a Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Green Bay Packers as well. And as well, Julius Williams with the Jacksonville Jaguars, Corey Blunt, the NBA. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, man. But just to come on that whole project, man, the Fathers and a Friend Forever Foundation. Doc, I also would like to thank you too, man, because there's a lot of things that, I have learned and I'm continuing to learn from you. My father was actually into karate, Shigote. He's a gold belt. He's master 33rd degrees in the whole nine. So just your frame of thought, man, has allowed me to adapt my mental to kind of transition, from dark stages and, just some of the quotes and things that you share. And so I just want to thank you too, man. You've been able to help me open up my mind to a different way of thinking, a more holistic way. That some of the adversities and pains that I was dealing with from my son's trauma, I've been able to resonate that into positive energy just from some of your quotes and teachings and things. So I just really want to thank you for that, man. But
thank you so much.
Man, it was very important for me to be able to take that negative energy, because it was, man. I mean, the first thing on my mind, obviously, no parent is expecting to bury their own child, man. So
No.
the first thing in my mind was like, man, what am I going to do? Everything I work for, everything for my son. This is my only biological son. I thank God I have a twin daughter. I have a grandson, but it goes back to what I taught Brian, man. I
Yes.
always taught him that an education is something no one can ever take away from you.
Now,
And with that being said,
when we talk about pain, and a lot of people like to throw shade on all of us, right? About who they think we are, who they think we want to be or need to be for them, but yet we are still trying to, we're always in that building stage, and I think that's why I wanted to show bridges to be so important, because we are building from here to there. No matter how it comes,
that's right.
we got to constantly keep building that communication, that community, that love with a spouse, love with a sibling. We still got to build, right? So,
Man, that's magnificent. It's true. You're right.
how did you? Because people have been in this pain situation before. When the people that did the shooting, how were you able to go from one side of the bridge to the other side of the bridge?
That's a good question, man. The first thing I thought, man, when my son was shot, man, when I found out my son was murdered, the first thing I found out from a preacher who was a good friend of mine, and finding out that my son was shot 5 times in the head, it put me in a dark place. So to answer your question, how did I to another? There was a higher power, I know, first of all. I didn't possess the power within myself to be able to do that. There was a higher power that I had to trust. But outside of that, what I was able to do, and for a parent who may have experienced this type of adversity or pain, what I was able to do was to create bipartisanship partnerships. And what I mean, if I'm allowed to elaborate, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yes.
Because in a lot of cases, Doc, where you may have a young black man who was killed by a white police officer.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that pain. Losing a child is losing a child. That pain, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Mexican, Latin, Jew, Korean, whatever the case is. That pain is pain for any one of us. But the way that I was able to cope with it the most was, I have friends in high places, man, in the FBI. I got friends in the CIA. I got buddies that's state representatives. I got buddies that's state troopers, investigators, private investigators. God has just blessed me to have a well-rounded circle. So after contacting a couple of my FBI guys, the Illinois state representative, and what I had to do was to create bipartisanship partnerships. I had to do the job of some with the police, the FBI, people in the streets, the hood, the thugs, the girls, the boys, everybody.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You see how you had to get in there with your tools, and you had to build that bridge. Otherwise,
Bridge that gap.
Yeah, because you know what? The sad issue is that we would have lost you in that dark space. And we know a lot of people commit suicide in that dark space, and we would have lost you in that void.
Yeah. Or even in prison, man, for retaliation. Because I lost my son, man. Logically, the first thing, I'm just being honestly and real with you.
Yeah, yeah.
First thing you think of, man, you killed my son, I'm gonna kill you. You know what I'm saying? That's your first recollection is my son, you killed my son, you deserve to die, whatever the case may be. So I would have been in prison, had I not had the knowledge of the law and understand the due process of the law. Studying law from Morehouse, had I not known the law and tried to take the law into my own hands, I could have not been having this conversation with you. So you're right, I did have to bridge that gap to get out of that dark spot.
So we're going to take another break here, and we're listening to Bridges. We're talking to Mr. Bobby Morgan of the Elite Marketing Sports down there in Atlanta, Georgia, and the bridge is the Jackson Street Bridge. And remember, the Human Rights Charter number 29 is responsibility. Taking that responsibility, we all have that responsibility. We'll be right back after this break, and you're listening to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul.
All right, we are clear.
So now, Bobby, what we're going to talk about after we take on this break, you're going to go into the Hall of Fame week and how important that's going to be for everybody, and especially introducing those new ideas that we got going on down there, especially with these players and keeping them. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
You know, one of the things, Bobby, I think people when I talk about emotional sciences, emotional intelligence, they talk about their emotions. And in that, we lose so many people.
You're right. You know, and if you would, man, allow me to kind of close it out on because you just touched something, man. You kind of brought something out of me with your questions, man, for a parent that's going through something like that. You know, if I would just be able to close that up, and then we can go into the Pro Bowl. But that bipartisanship partnership was key. And that was part of bridging that gap. You're exactly right. I had to bridge that with the FBI because the state and local police were their investigation was going completely different than the Fugitive Task Force.
How come?
And those guys, and I had to because of the lack of communication and the lack of resources that the local city police department had, as opposed to federal regulations. It was just a lot of lack of communication. And it was big resources as well, obviously money, but you know, you got a police department, man. Like I said, when you got guys shooting guns, you know, where they're coming out shooting like ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta, and the police coming out pop, 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 pop. It's a problem.
Hold on, Bob.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and you're listening to Mr. Bobby Morgan. And Bobby Morgan was talking about how he started his foundation, how he lost his son, but again, how he started to really bridge that gap between the community and himself and getting out of that dark space. And Bobby, continue about that because we're going to go ahead and finish.
Yeah, I just want to end that note so we can get into this Pro Bowl thing here in Orlando, Florida. But it was just important for me to finish that up with just how I created the bipartisanship partnerships for any parent that may be dealing with this. And everyone's coping mechanism is going to be different.
Yeah.
My satisfaction came with working with law enforcement to apprehend the guy that shot and killed my son. And for those that's listening, I did that within 24 hours.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
I did it in 24 hours. I contacted the girlfriend. She had talked to the buddies that he was with. I recorded the statements. I talked to the local police, Illinois State Representative, Fugitive Task Force, and I gave everybody all of the information. And that's something for law enforcement as I end this. The communication is essential because there were things on different levels that law enforcement information had, and once they shared that information with others, they were able to bridge the gap. So I just want to end it on that note. It's very important. The bipartisanship partnerships was essential in me apprehending the guy that actually killed my son. And we have him in custody. Matter of fact, I was just in Chicago for his court hearing, and the district attorney and those guys are doing an excellent job.
Wow.
So thank you for that.
You absolutely, you know, I know people who also have been murdered and they haven't caught in their the murder yet, and it was killed in the street, and it was down in the Bronx, New York here, and there's a lot of stuff going on down there, and they know who did it, but they can't pin it on him because no one's coming forward and talking about it. So yeah, there's a lot of pain there going on there. So
and that's a whole nother topic that we can come on to, because I got into like where witness protection. As an example, and I understand where you're coming from, like for the people in New York that speak, you know, what I found out in Illinois is that there was money for federal witness protection plans, But if you have a person that's just on the streets and just wasn't cooperating with the police for a drug dealer or whatever the case may be, they don't have witness protection money for that person. So how can you expect the person to cooperate with you who's just lost a loved one without that protection? It's just me. I wasn't worried about that. You know, I know people in the streets in higher positions and things, so I have no fear of that. You know, I walk through the shadow of the valley of death. So a guy on the streets with a gun or a knife, man, he have no chance. I fear no man but God.
Hey, I'm right there with you. You know, with the martial arts and the science I teach, I understand it. I try to teach people. I said, you know, studying martial arts helps you keep your life, save lives, and give life. If you start living in fear, you already dead.
Wow, that's deep. I never heard it. That's pretty deep, though. Wow, but it's a true statement.
Yeah. So now we got, you know, we have this championship football game going on, and I'm going to ask you right now, who are you picking, Alabama or Clemson?
Now, Coach, you know I got to plead the fifth on that. I got players, man, for Clemson, and I got players for Alabama. I mean, for the record, I would say may the best team win. We all know Nick Saban he's a master at what he do. If I had to pick a team, I would probably pick Alabama to win. If I had to choose a team, I would probably choose Clemson. But at the end of the day, may the best team win. I have players on both teams.
You know, I know, you know, one of the things like North Dakota State at the Bison, they just won in the FCS. They just won another championship, unprecedented, their 7th title. So, and I know Alabama right now. Nick Saban's going for his 7th right now. That's amazing.
And looking at the game, Tua just threw like a 60, 70-yard pass or something. He threw an interception, and it was 7-0. They just got the ball back, and he just threw probably a 75-yard pass after he threw an interception to tie it up 7-7.
Wow. So now Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame, football,
Pro Bowl.
a lot of things going on. Let's start us off with, first of all, you set it up. This has got to be amazing because of all the work you got put into it.
Yes, sir.
But to be down there for the red carpet, we're going to have a great time and talk with players. But you tell us what's going on.
Yeah. All right, for the Pro Bowl, man, first I got to give a shout out to my buddy, man, the president of the NFL Alumni Central Florida chapter, Mr. Seneca McMillan, and that whole team out there with the Central Florida, Mr. Ted Bogart, the governor of Florida, the senator of Florida, the Citrus Club, Worldwide Sports, Disney Sport. I'd like to give a shout out to all of them, man. The NFL Pro Bowl, man, as you know, was in Hawaii, so they actually changed it from being in Hawaii. The commissioner, Goodell, wanted to see the attendance to get up, you know, so they hosted it in Orlando, and this is the 3rd year that it'll be in Orlando. So Disney and all of those men have reached out to us, you know, and they're bringing a red carpet out. But President Seneca McMillan, man, is a great friend of mine, partner of mine. We'll be having a red carpet event that Thursday. We'll be flying in. We'll have the Hall of Famers, the Pro Bowlers, the legends. Man, I mean, you name it. Pretty much who's is who will be there. Most of your, it's the Pro Bowlers, so it's the elite. It's like the All-Star game of the NFL. So you'll also have the legends that will be there, and we're going to have a chance to network with those guys and to continue to build the relations, and where great energy is going to come in between the two of us is the things that you do with the mental,
30 seconds.
the conditioning, and just things, the different techniques mentally with a lot of the guys that I'm dealing with the NFL concussions and.
Hold on, Bobby.
Way to help to.
Bobby, hold on. Sal is going to take us to another break here.
Okay.
And I just want to let people know you listen to the BBM Global Network. This is your host, Dr. Paul. We listen to Bridges. We'll be right back after this break.
All right, we're clear. I think we have Ashley on the line too.
Okay.
Is that
You.
Ashley?
I'm here. Hi.
Hey, Miss Ashley.
Oh,
Hello.
Hey,
Hi. God, I miss you guys. Miss the show. Miss my medicine, Lord.
yeah, I miss you too. It's
Long 2 weeks, Dr. Fire.
Happy New Year, Miss Ashley.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year's to you too, man.
Miss.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
So Bobby, Miss Ashley is the CEO of Just Be You magazine, and Miss Ashley,
Okay.
tell Bobby about your magazine real quick before we get on the air.
Hello, Bobby. Yes, we are a mind body. We're all about mind, body, and soul. What's good for the mind, what's good for the body, what's good for the soul. Dr. Paul is actually one of our writers for the magazine. We focus basically on bringing a voice to the people. As he calls me, I'm his boots all on the ground. So we basically help people and I want to say my condolences for your son. I just came in. I don't know what this was, but we put stuff like that and get justice. We do campaigns for things like that when people are not acting right, like city council, police, etc. We fight hard for what we believe. And for the
You might know my buddy, Sir Major, the president of Black Lives Matter.
Oh, really?
we got
Yeah,
20
that's one of my
seconds.
guys.
All right, we're coming back.
We should definitely.
Visit her at
10 seconds.
or call 281-515-3744.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul. We're talking to Mr. Bobby Morgan down there at Elite Marketing Group. And we're transitioning to the marketing group of what he's putting together for the Hall of Fame week, Pro Bowl week down in Orlando. They're pulling out all the stops of getting all the players together. And he also touched on real quick about what we're going to be talking with some of these players about is their safety, their mental health, their mental conditioning, along with their physical lives, because a lot of these players, even after they leave the game, they're struggling with a lot of things. And, I'm sure they're going through that thing with the NFL, and we're not going to touch on that. That's a legal issue. But we also have Miss Ashley on the phone. Welcome back, Miss Ashley. Happy New Year.
Hi, Happy New Year. Good to be back. Hi, Happy New Year. Thank you so much, guys. Good to be back. That was a long 2 weeks. We cannot have that again.
So, Miss joining us for the first time. Miss Ashley is the CEO of Just Be You magazine and out of Houston. And where she's living, and she's got a lot of gang violence down there in Houston around her area. And Miss Ashley has just done so many things to try to build a community. With her magazine, it's not just about, fashion, it's about encouraging people. And that's the same thing what you did, Bobby, with your organization, is to build people up and work on those student athletes. And so and Miss Ashley comes on every week. She gives us an update on what's going on. So, but I want to get back into you, Bobby. What's next? What's the thing that we need to bring to light about the Pro Bowl, about the Hall of Fame week, that we're really going to touch on, even with these conditioning of these athletes?
One of the biggest things is that, like I said, I really appreciate your views, and after talking to you, and you've helped me myself as well mentally to get out of some dark spaces with just your teachings in the frame of thought. So this is going to help us to transition. We have a lot of guys that's suffering in the NFL. As you guys know, CTE is real. Obviously it's not really detected until after they're dead. They have quite a few guys in the NFL who's donated their brain, etc. So we want to be able to prevent that. I do believe that proper preparation prevents poor performance. However, whatever damages was done to those guys, they suffered. But to be able to, you touched on something, a lot of these guys are suffering after the field. And it's the fact of just mentally, they just don't want to accept. You may not be able to remember things like you have. As an example, I can speak, on some things. I do have non-disclosure agreements, but the thing that I can speak on, as the president of this organization, and it's real, the fact that a lot of these players, man, are suffering from this mental abuse where, you know, they're so used to being conditioned
Yeah.
in a sense or trained. Well, as I talk to certain psychologists, you know, where you got practice at this time for this many years, you know, you get dressed for the game at this time. Sundays, preparation, meal time, here, practice time. So it becomes so routine for a lot of these guys from grade school, high school, college to professionals to when they leave that field, that's all they know. And a lot of these guys are ashamed to come and ask for help. You know, some of these guys don't even know that they need, as dumb as this may sound, it's true.
It's true.
Some of these guys don't even know that they need help.
Exactly. And that's one of those things.
Are the guys that you're seeing.
Yep, and that's one of those things that I can't wait to, you know, to get down there and partnering up with you is to not see. That's the tough thing because some of these, you know, athletes are warriors in their own right. You know, they want to play, they want to do, they want to get in. And I know Ashley, you're dealing with a lot of those people down in Houston because of those neighborhoods. So some of those young, let's call it what it is, those young black men that's down there in those neighborhoods don't know how to ask for help. So no one's ever taught them to ask for help. And then so even then when they get older, they don't know how to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm feeling broken. You know what, I'm feeling sad. You know what, I'm depressed. And that's what's killing them also.
Yeah, and even to add to that, you know, society paints this personification, especially for our young black boys, where you have to be strong. You know, it's not okay to ask for help. Figure it out. Toughen up.
Right.
You know, and that's not necessarily the case. And especially for you out in Houston, sister, too. I have contacts out there as well, like Slim Thug and those guys in the music industry.
Yes,
I know
they're all
quite
on
a
my
few people in the
platform.
Houston area. You know, Lucas, Mr. Lucas with the Houston Rockets. I have relationships with them. I actually have a relative that's out there in Houston, so I would love to, through Doc, be able to provide whatever resources we may be able to help with that as well. So I believe that teach one, teach one. That's our motto. So any way that we can help, you know, I know you're affiliated with Doc. You got to be good people. So anything that he's on board with, we're on board with.
Go ahead, Miss Ashley.
Thank you so much, and yes, thank you so much, and I'm so happy to ask for you to say that because that's what I've been looking for. Dr. Paul will tell you so much how I stressed out that I don't have more Dr. Pauls in my life that see the problem, that actually can collab and get the job done. Because you're right, the black men, especially black boys, they're scared to ask up. My son was I just had him open up. He was scared to tell me that he was depressed and that he was thinking about committing suicide. It's a lot of stuff, and it was all because that persona of a black man can't let their guard down or be weak and stuff like that. And I actually know some NFL players that I've talked to, and they open up to me, and they've told me that they do need help. You know, they're so stressed out, they don't know, they can't talk because they'll seem weak, and people talk about them, and then they just automatically put them in the crazy box, you know? And that's not
true.
Okay.
And for those guys, too, with the NFL, you know, a lot of them don't know, but, you know, and I can help you with that, but you have, like, the NFL Trust, NFL Legends. There's a lot of different organizations that the players just don't know about. That's resources out there for medical. I've helped players to get mortgage bills paid.
Wow.
I've helped them to get car notes paid. I've helped some of the guys who didn't have the medical. We can help them with medical. There's resources out there for them.
And they don't know it though. They don't know that.
No, they don't.
I would love to put that out. That's what I put in the magazine.
30
that's
seconds.
What I interviewed. That's what I like to do because you know if they need to know that, and they don't have people that care like us to put it out there. So yeah, we definitely have to.
That's right.
Definitely.
We're gonna take a quick break here, and you're listening to Bridges, and when you're talking to Mr. Bobby Morgan and Miss Ashley Johnson, and what we're talking about is putting our foot on the ground and putting our hands in the dirt and putting in the work, and that's exactly what we need to do as a community of people. But we're right back after this break, and you're listening to Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul.
Psychologist Master certified coach.
Miss Ash,
I will most definitely be able to help her out in
Absolutely.
Houston, Doc. That wouldn't be a problem, man. I got mad contacts out there. I would even tap into the NBA alumni because I have Lucas, those guys out there too.
I will exchange numbers between the both of you. Tonight I will send you both of you the numbers, but we're gonna let you go, Bobby. So I want you to sign off after this next break. After this next break, I want you to wrap up what else you want to say, and then let you keep on going. So,
we got 2 segments left. And
Yep.
we have a bunch more callers.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Coach Cheryl, and then there's a number I don't recognize.
Is Coach Cheryl on now?
Let's go.
Free iPhone app highlighting.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
MJ Dalmat is the owner of Expect to be Empowered, a company.
I'll go ahead and conclude, Doc.
Yeah, when we come after this break.
So there's a 717 number?
After studying and making
It's
me, Dr. Waters.
How you doing, Dr. Wars? We're gonna hold off on you real quick, but I'll bring you on in a little bit.
for people who are physically,
Okay.
emotionally, and spiritually blocked. Inspired by her work and Expect to be Empowered,
Alright,
MJ
we're coming
offers
back
waves
in
of blue light
30
to heal the
seconds.
heart and free the soul with accompanying empowerment cards. She is a Spirit Book of the Year Gold Medal Living Now Book Award winner. And her book is a #1 Amazon bestseller in spirituality and was a 2012 Gold Medal winner, recognized Spirit Book of the Year. And in speaker, MJ will show you how you can repurpose every area of your life. Your life. You chose it, which means you can change it. Visit
And
www.expecttobeempowered.com or call 866-264.
2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and you listen to Mr. Bobby Morgan, and he was talking about his foundation. And he was also talking about his marketing group that he does down there with the NFL, and actually athletes across, along with musicians. But ultimately, we got to get students to be better students, even though they're athletes. Miss Ashley Johnson jumps in the line. You know Miss Ashley is the CEO of Just Be You magazine, and she's my boots on the ground. And then we got Coach Cheryl. Coach Cheryl, we missed you so much.
Yeah.
Hello, Coach Cheryl.
How are you guys? So happy New Year to everyone.
Happy New Year.
Coach Cheryl, we missed you.
We missed you, girl. I know you've been busy with the family and the kids, being a single mom and kicking it and rocking it. But you know, Coach Cheryl and we do a lot of we call reprogramming with people. And Coach Cheryl is that I'm the science part of a lot of it, and Coach Cheryl is more the aesthetic part of it. She's just a wonderful thing. So, Coach Cheryl, you've been listening a little bit about on the show. You want to tell Bobby, Mr. Morgan, about how he can help some of those players he's going to be contacting with, especially when they're dealing with that depression issue.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to your point, it's very prevalent that the stigma that is associated with mental wellness and just the ignorance, lack of information, and access to information. I think that the effort that you're providing, you know, for making sure that individuals are aware that, you know, that it's really about what is actually going on in your body. And it is a biological issue. It's a physical, anatomical issue. And, you know, when the cells in our bodies are not working, just like when you get a cold, you know, it's the same type of thing. These synapses are not connecting properly in the brain. And we have to address it, and we have to really take the medicine that's necessary to take it in terms of like herbal, you know, and supplements and organic ways that nature has designed for us to be able to take care of ourselves. And so I think it's great just to keep promoting information, you know, just continue to share information to remove the stigma and ignorance.
So, Bobby, before we let you go, I know you're a busy man, especially when looks like this game. Well, I'll catch the end of the game later myself. So, tell us what we need to know, Bobby, before you take off.
Man, I just want to, first of all, thank everyone here on this panel. And it takes a village. It's no one person that's going to solve the problem. So collectively, I greatly appreciate you having me on this panel. The most thing that I can say, man, is we continue to trust our higher power in God. Some things we have to let go and let God, and just continue to put the knowledge out there. Knowledge is power. And it's people like you, Doc, that allows us this platform to be able to put this information out there. And anyone looking for information on us, we can be found at www.elitetalent.biz. That's one word, elitetalent.biz. B as in Bravo, I as in intelligent, Z as in Zoo. We have different social media links you can follow us on. We'll be doing quite a bit here in Atlanta for the Super Bowl. Anyone here get in touch with Doc as well, we'll be at the Pro Bowl. Get in touch with Doc. But I just want to, before I conclude, just tell you, thank you, Doc, and the panel, everyone that's here on the panel. It's very empowering. I look forward to working with each and every one of you in any capacity that I can. And I just want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to make it known what we do, how we do it, and I look forward to working with each and every last one of them.
God bless you, brother. And then I'll see you in a week, or 2 weeks actually.
See me in a couple of weeks out there at the Pro Bowl, man. And everybody, go onto the page and everything. Anyone that'll be in Orlando, get in touch with Doc. And as far as different programs that we have, I want to be able to help. So I want to thank everyone for the time, and this is very important, bridging the gap. So I'm getting ready to get out, but you have a very powerful panel. So I encourage the listeners to tune in to the information of the powerful panel of people that's getting ready to be presented. And thank each and every one of you. God bless. Be blessed. Have a blessed day. Elite.
So Coach Cheryl, you've been busy for a couple of weeks, and now that it's a new year, we need to hear probably what's the next thing so we can build these steps to building a better us, you know what I mean? And these workshops that we're going to be kicking off and doing. So what's one of those things that we can work on, that one step to the next step?
Okay, so as we are moving forward, 2019, getting ourselves in the mind in being aware of progression and change, and the desire to, if you have a desire, if you wake up in the morning and you have a desire to make a shift and a change in any element and or area of your life, then you have to actually do it, because it's not a coincidence or an accident that you woke up with that feeling. We are, whether or not we want to believe in it, the reality of the whole mind, body, soul trifecta is real. And whatever religious or cultural doctrine it is that you follow, there will be information that connects back to this universal philosophy, which is regarding taking care of the mind, body, and spirit. So if you have that notion, if you have that burning desire inside of you, then you have to acknowledge it and go ahead and make a decision to embrace it and start taking steps toward the change. Change is inevitable. It's a part of our living process. So my recommendation would be to be aware of the things that are going on in your heart, in your mind, in your body, and to act upon those things and take the positive steps toward progression. Just take action. That's it. One step, you get the feeling, do something about it. And if you need some tools and techniques, obviously, to support that, we're always here to help.
I think that's the toughest part about this, is to take action. And I think that's why I try to do that whole, I know something, but do you understand it? And if you understand it, if you truly understand something, I think then you can take action on it. Miss Ashley, I know you've been going through some things yourself, and you've taken some action. You want to talk about those actions you have recently took?
Yes, I have, with my son and everything.
30 seconds.
I've talked to the principals and stuff like that. But right now, the action that's going on will be with the Justice for Jasmine. I know. Have you heard about the Jasmine case right now that we have going on here in Houston?
Hold on, we're going to come back to that because I know we're going to take a break here. And So we're going to take a little break. We're right back. And you're listening to The Bridges, and I'm your host, Dr. Paul, on the BBM Global Network, channel 200, every Monday at 8 p.m. You can call us at 877-475-8570. Hey, Fred, are you there still?
Yeah, man, I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to bring you in after this break.
Okay.
And Sal, this is our last break, right?
Yep, we got a short one coming up. Short segment.
So, Fred, we're going to have you say your piece real quick, and then we're going to end up closing out the show, okay?
Okay, that was too bad a lot of people didn't call in, man, because I was just going to make it short.
Yep.
And, maybe schedule for another day.
Yeah, we'll do that.
They didn't really get involved like I thought they would.
We'll get it going.
All right.
Alongside her husband, Dr. Rennie McLean, who shares her passion. Visit www.globalglory.org or on Facebook at Global Glory. Call 866-244-5679 and feel the glory. Escape from Hell, A Woman's Story is a passionate book that tells the true story of author Rhonda Knuth.
Coach Cheryl, how are the kids doing?
The book takes readers on an emotional
Good. They're getting ready for bed, actually.
Okay. Did they enjoy their Christmas?
Oh yeah, they did. We were in Rockland on Christmas. Yeah, it's just the love is, well, you know how we do.
Yeah, we know how we get down.
Dr. Paul.
Yes.
Did you hear what I said about Jasmine?
We got 20 seconds.
Yeah, you're going to mention that again, but no, I didn't.
She got shot and killed in a drive-by here.
Oh, no.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, and we are back.
Welcome back to Bridges. I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and we have Miss Ashley Johnson, the CEO of Just Be You Magazine, and Coach Cheryl. And then we also have another caller that want to chime in, and Dr. Fred Waters. Dr. Fred, let's get you on real quick and say your piece before we close out the show.
Okay, thanks, Dr. Paul. Make it real quick. You had a real great show on tonight. But what I wanted to talk about was about the people that were stationed at Fort McClellan, the civilians, the offspring, the kids, and that something needs to be done. And I was hoping that a lot of other members would call in, Justice for Fort McClellan Health Registry, and Operation Stand Together. Maybe if they call in and get a hold of your website, then maybe we can have a discussion on another night. Because what you got going on now is really good, but a lot of people didn't commit to it. I let them know, so we can set up another night. You can just let them, if they call you, we set it up. If not, then we just keep on doing what we're doing.
Absolutely, Dr. Fred. Brother, I love you, and you take care.
Thank you, brother. Hey, Ashley and all the rest of you guys, you got a good show. Talk to you later, Dr. Paul. I'm out.
Miss Ashley, now you were talking about what happened down there in Houston?
Okay, so it was a drive-by shooting happened. A little girl named Jasmine was waiting in the car for her mom and her sister. She was only 7 years old. She was waiting, coming out of family home for holidays and party, and a drive-by shooting occurred, and she got shot and killed. And Friday, DeAndre Hopkins from the Texans, he actually dedicated his whole check from the game that he got the other day to the family. There's been a lot of benefits going on, but right now the issue is that at first they were saying it was a white guy that did it, and then witnesses were saying it, but now they're saying they end up arresting 2 young black boys, stating that they actually was the ones that's doing it. So it's a lot of controversies on that part. A lot of people are not believing that. And these boys, they just admitted it too fast, and yeah, we did it, we were the ones, and nobody's letting them talk to anybody. So it's a lot going on with that.
Miss Cheryl, one of the things that I know it's tough for people to deal with, and this is what you call that innocent death. It's hard enough for us to deal with death that comes to us from sickness, but that innocent death of people being killed, that's a struggle for a lot of us.
Right.
Yeah, and the children, it just, there's something else, that's just, it leaves me speechless. It really does.
It does.
It's very, it's very difficult to embrace, the idea that these angels are, kind of taken very quickly from us. I can't even imagine. I can't.
Mr. Bobby Morgan, who was
Bless
just
her family. God
Mr.
bless her family. God bless the families. Oh.
Mr. Bobby Morgan, who was just on, and he talked about in the beginning how he lost his son by being shot in Chicago, and death comes to us, and like just that's that innocent death that we will never be able to excuse or wrap our hands around, but we still have a place to mourn, because mourning is still a process for us. Doesn't matter if we lose a loved one to a sickness. And just like this weekend, if you didn't hear, my grandson was in the hospital for emergency surgery, and that was also a thought of maybe we could lose him, But so that no matter how we lose a loved one, no matter how we struggle with the pain, we either got to learn how to ask for help from our friends, families, and close ones, and say, I am not doing well, and that takes that education piece. I know we all been trying to do is to let people know, like, I'm here for you, but even still people don't know how to ask for help. So what are those next steps that we're going to do? Miss Ashley, you can say goodbye. We're going to sign off here pretty quick, and we'll just see you next week. But so give us that one bit that you're going to work on this week, Miss Ashley, to move forward.
Well, yeah, we're working on getting these city councils and police officers on the ball, and we have to change the community, getting the community together, and it's going to be justice for Jasmine. We'll touch back on it next week. We'll touch back on it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Miss Ashley, and you keep safe, man. You keep your head up.
Thank you.
And what those steps that we're going to be taking forward each week is that we're going to just keep adding on to it. And like you said, it's tough for us to wrap our hearts around, but we got to do it for those people who are losing loved ones every day. We're about ready to sign off here on Bridges. And to let you know that, remember, this is about the Jackson Street Bridge. And also about Article 29. We have a responsibility. We have a responsibility of living. So I want you to take this Bridges show, taking your knowing to your understanding to an action. So every Monday, 8 p.m., we're going to be here bridging that gap. And I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and thank you for listening to Bridges.
All right, we are clear.